Alrighty, so here's how I accomplished this refactor. Okay, so I'm going to start like I showed you in the last one. Now I started with these not uh, commented out and using them, and first just implemented my data, okay, and as an array, and then inside here, when I when it is a good submission, I set up a new data object. I put miles, gallons, and price, which by the way, there's a more current way to do this because these all equal. You can just put, and I'm not going to do it here, but I'm just going to foreshadow. We'll do that in the future. Okay, then I did these as normal, but now when I called track MPG cost, I passed in that data object, that new data object. I passed it in. So let's go look at passing it in. Probably should be doing this inside of DevTools. So now inside of here, I've now referenced it as OBJ just to simplify my code. Okay, I think I have to. I just think you tell me, I just think it's better. I just think it's easier to see it. Okay, so I'm going to set a breakpoint where I'm kind of at right now, which is inside here. We could look at it either way. Do I have the most current copy? Yeah, I do. Okay, so in here, right here. So now I'm going to go ahead and enter some data. Right, so now you can see that object is set up. Right, now I'm going to call the track. I'm going to pass track MPG and cost. I'm going to pass in 3 key value pairs, okay, that I've set up here. And so when I hit next, when I hit step, then that object is now referenced as OBJ. And now when I round to get the MPG, I reference OBJ miles and gallons. Okay, cool there. And then now I'm going to call DOM update, passing, and there's nothing different here, but now, okay, I should have just jumped over that, but that's okay. Do that. And now I'm going to take that object. I'm going to now set a new key called MPG. So now I'm passing around an object that I'm updating. Okay, trip cost. All right, so if we were to look at right now, and this is good to do, my data. If I looked at it, you'd see, oh, nothing yet. Right? Actually, I'd have to look at, this is so good. I'd have to look at object, right? Because I haven't actually pushed that in yet. So now I'm going to return that new updated object. Okay, so I'm going to return it to what called it, which in here was in my event listener. And now I have that new updated object right here. There it is. Now I have all the data variables that were inputted, and I have the 2 I calculated. And now I'm going to do a push into my data. Awesome. Okay, so now I can do that same thing I tried to do again. Now I do have it. Now I've updated, pushed that entry, that array, that object into that array. Okay, so now I can call average. And this is where, to me, like I said before, it really highlights something we haven't talked about. And it's not as important in a class like this, although the more programming you do have to think about what's called the big O notation. How much more efficient can you make your code, or how inefficient is it? So if I call calc sum here, right, instead of, and I just commented these out, right, I did a for each, but I set up the sum for these two, and which, by the way, I probably should start showing you higher order functions now, because there's more simple ways to do what we're doing here. Just so much more simple, but that's okay. It's good to do things longhand sometimes. Okay, it's good for me too. So now I'm going to do the for each. And this OBJ reference here, right? So I'm calling now, sorry, I'm getting a little, let me set these up, right? And I have to use let here because of the way I'm doing the plus equal. So remember that. So now I'm going to say iterate over, because at this point I have a number, right? I'm just only have one more entry here, right? I'm just outputting, and this is where I'm going to change this in the future, but again, for now. So now the first object in here, okay, I see all that data, and now I'm just going to say sum, right? Take whatever's in there, give me the sum, and now because there's only one, I could do another entry, right? So now I'm going to say round sum, and now I can just say the length of my data, because whatever amount of objects are in there, right? Because each of them is just an entry in the array. This is not the cleanest thing I've ever done, but it worked. It's kind of what we call brute force to get it done. Math, round, trip cost, my data length again. Now I just want to set up a variable because I don't like the way that looks. Update DOM, we know what that does. Boom, boom. Okay, we come back here, and now we reset the form. Boom. All right, so this is not my most favorite code, but it works. And sometimes that's what you do. You just get things working. We're going to make this better. Okay, so this is a good start to conversations like this. Like in this case, how can I get this data to hang out even if I refresh the page? How can I make this data persistent? Because right now, right, it's volatile, which means when I refresh the page, which if you think about it, why would that be true? Is all the data structures we've created to house this data is only in the computer memory. It's in the RAM. It's not in the hard drive, right? It's not saved anywhere. Now, typically, this kind of stuff is where you would save out to a database on the web, but there's a way in JavaScript to do it without having to learn all that stuff, which we don't have time to do. We're going to probably just use local storage just because it's easy and you don't have to, no cost, no mess. All right. So here's what I want on this one, right? So of course, also, your feedback on this one, like what was the level of this? Like, was this hard? Was this rewarding? Was this frustrating? What was this for you? And how could we have made this better? I mean, that's also the other thing, or maybe it was fine. So commit your history, and we're almost done with week 9. That's crazy cool. All right, have a good one.